Hi, hello people. A very good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is doing fine. I welcome you to yet another very interesting and motivational episode of Big Bull Ki Pathshala. So we have with us a very special guest. But before I get to that, I want to talk about a couple of things prior. So unless you're not somebody living under a rock, you must be pretty much sure as to what is going on with the CUET admission procedure. So let me revise it once again for all of you so that if you have any questions, any queries about it, we can have a discussion. You can put it in the chat box and we will be more than happy to help you out with it. So as you all know that this year for UGs, Delhi University has started the CSAS system for allotting admissions to various courses at UG level in different colleges falling under Delhi University. So the entire process is going to take place in 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. I hope all of you have registered yourself for the phase 1 till now, right, and have jumped to phase 2. So phase 1 is the level wherein you're supposed to register yourself for the CSAS process, right? That is Common Seat Allocation System. And I hope you all have reached to phase 2, wherein you're supposed to fill in your preferences. Preferences of what? Preferences of your colleges, preferences of the courses that you want to get yourself enrolled in at the UG level in the different campuses falling under Delhi University. Let me remind you again, the last date for phase 1 as well as phase 2 to fill in phase 1 and phase 2 is going to be 10th of October, and it's already 7th October today, so just 3 days left. So make sure that you're completing the process by 10th of October. Now, talking about the preferences, keep 1-2 things in your mind, be very clear about it. First of all, fill as many preferences as you can. If you're getting 50 preferences of courses as well as colleges, make sure that you're filling all of them. Don't precise yourself or don't confide yourself to just one particular course or just one particular college. Fill in all the preferences, all the combinations that you possibly can. All right. Second very, very important thing, guys, your order of preference is very, very important. That means the order in which you choose the colleges, the order in which you choose the courses is also going to be very, very important. So make sure that you've done your research very properly. Make sure that you have studied about all the courses, all the colleges in depth before filling in your phase 2 applications. Also remember, it is not like CUET that you can undo or redo the entire process. Once you have filled in, once you have submitted the application, there is no going back. So take all the time in the world, but before 10th of October, and make sure that you're completing the process in time. If you have any questions, any queries relating to phase 1 or phase 2 of the CSAS procedure for admissions into the varied UG courses under Delhi University, make sure to put your questions in the comment section and I will be more than happy to help you out with it. Phase 3 is expected to start from 10th of October itself, to keep your eyes and ears open and make sure that you're getting the right information from the right sources before taking any action. Okay, so enough of the gyan, and yes, one more important thing, the people who are planning to appear for the CLAT or the ALIT UG or PG exam this December, I hope your preparations are going well, right? So yeah, enough of the gyan. Let's come to the session today. Okay, so let me welcome our guest for tonight. We have with us Miss Parisha. Now, what do I tell about Parisha? She is a smart girl. She has managed to qualify not just 1, but 3 of her entrance tests. She has managed to qualify for CUET. She has managed to qualify for CLAT. She has managed to qualify for ALET, that of course UG. So let me tell you her scores, and I am pretty sure you will be very inspired by her. So if I talk about her CUET scores, she's managed to score 100 percentile in English, 97.47 in Pol Science, 96.7 in Sociology, 96.07 in Economics. If I talk about CLAT, she managed to score 84.75. Her AIR was 915. That's so impressive. If I talk about ALIT, She managed to score 66. Her rank was 801. Right now, she is sitting in NLU Patiala. She has joined us directly from there. So hi, Parisha. I welcome you to the session. Thank you so much for being with us. And yes, before she starts speaking, I forgot to mention one very important thing. It gives me immense pleasure to tell you all that she is an ex-student of HitBullsEye, right? So nothing makes us prouder than to see our students do well in their career. So hi, Parisha, welcome to the session. How are you doing?
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for welcoming me. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to HitBullsEye. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm sitting in NLU Patiala. Right now, I'm joined directly from there. And yes, I'm doing pretty fine.
Okay. So before we begin with the conversation with Parisha, I fill her in with all the questions and everything. Guys, quickly press the like button for the stream. Please like the stream, share it with the students so that they also get motivated, get to know a lot about CUET and law that we'll be talking in length today. Yes, of course, it is for students who are there in 12th class right now, because you will be appearing for a CUET as well as law exam this year, CUET exam next year. So of course, this show is for all of you. If any questions, any queries, please don't forget to put it in the comment section. But before that, please like and share the stream. So yes, Parisha, tell us something about yourself, Bache. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, everyone. My name is Parisha. I am a girl from Dhuri, a small town in Punjab. I have done my schooling from Vasant Valley Public School, Ladda. I scored 98.6% in my 10th board exams and got state rank 2. And I scored 99% in humanities stream in plus 2 and got district rank 1. And as ma'am already told you, my CLAT rank was AIR 915 and my ALET rank was 801 and I am 100 percentile in CUET 2. So I am more than happy to share that I had enrolled myself in HitBullsEye for 2 years, for 2-year course. So I can't thank enough for everything. I'm sitting in NLU today, so that's because of them.
So HitBullsEye family out there, this is an inspiration for you. You can learn from her, and listen to her journey, listen to talk her, listen her talking about her journey and see how she progressed over time. So it's really great, Parisha. I'm really happy that you've managed to do so well in your life, and that at such a young age. So tell me something, because you've managed to qualify both of the entrance, like the only two major entrances in the world, in the country, I'm sorry, for law. So did you always aspire to get into law? Was that always your aspiration, or was it something that you developed later on, maybe when you were in your 12th class, or what? Was it always your dream to get into law, you pursue your career in law?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so talking about law, I think law is something that makes you feel empowered. So I was always aspired to pursue law as my career. Mm-hmm. When I'm going to tell you a story, which is a little fascinating, I would say. I was in class 2nd when I listened to my senior in a bus when I was going to school. Like my senior was sitting at the back of my seat and she was telling कि मेरे को judge बनना है. I want to be a judge. So I asked my father going back at home, Papa, judge क्या होता है? Because I didn't know. I was in class 2nd. Yeah. But eventually I developed interest because back at my mind there was a story that ठीक है मेरे को judge बनना है because I listened that. Yeah. But back at the story I eventually developed interest for the subjects. I eventually developed interest for social sciences. Honestly, I was good at all subjects, but I honestly developed an interest in social sciences ki subjects. Okay. Then eventually after 10th, I decided to pursue humanities because I had decided to pursue law as my career. So pursuing humanities was something that would help me in my law journey. And that really helped me, in fact. So I was always aspired to pursue law. That is my story.
That's really nice, yeah, to have such an early, what do I say, enlightenment as to what you want to do earlier. Like it's really, really nice, Parisha. Well done. So we will begin with CLAT, right? So, because you have so much to talk about, we'll begin with CLAT first. So tell me, how was your experience about, writing CLAT exam? How was the entire experience?
All right. So I'll be beginning with my CLAT center. So my CLAT center was NLU Patiala itself. So when I entered NLU Patiala, my mother said, "Dekho yahi mil jaye." So because obviously back at the story, back in the mind, parents always aspire कि उनका बच्चा एक अच्छे institution में जाए. So that's always a dream of the parents. So giving CLAT was a comfortable and contentful experience for me, I would say, because whole of the experience was very satisfying. The staff was very good here, and also I gave a lot of mocks from HitBullsEye and other websites too. So I purchased mocks from other institutes and other websites also. I enrolled myself in that. So the experience was quite comfortable for me because I had already gone through that what is the paper like, what I have to do in that. Honestly, the only thing I faced was the time management. Obviously, that's the thing you will face. In fact, you will face when you are giving the actual CLAT exam. But if I have to talk of my whole experience and the experience in journal, I had a very comforting experience here.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So let's talk from a point of view of somebody who does not really know a lot about CLAT exam. Okay, let's talk about somebody who's right now in 12th standard, who is or maybe in 11th standard right now, who's wanting or who's targeting CLAT 24, for example, right? So could you please walk such a person through the process? Like, what is the exam pattern of CLAT usually? What are the sections that you get in that? And yeah, basically that. Could you walk somebody through the process, through the pattern of exam?
Yes, ma'am. So basically the CLAT exam consists of 5 sections. It consists of verbal or English, basically the language wala portion. And then it consists of journal knowledge. Then we have reasoning. Then we have legal reasoning. And then we have mathematics.
Right,
we have quants. So
that put it in simple words: maths, English, reasoning, legal reasoning, and GK. These are the main sections that you have, right? Yeah.
So this is the basic outline of the CLAT exam.
Okay, great. So when you appeared for your CLAT exam, which section did you find the easiest, and which section was according to the most difficult?
I found legal reasoning and the critical reasoning as the most easiest ones. And the GK was quite strange for me. I guess it was so absurd. I was not, the topics were a little from, like we have always been told to go through the GK from the past 1 year. Because the GK of the competitive exams generally comes from the past 1 years, the issues from the past 1 year. But I guess the issues were a little back, but from they were from, the highlights of the issues were from 2020 also, I guess. So the GK was the most toughest and the most absurd section for me, I would say. Though the irony is, I was the most confident in GK, कि मेरा GK अच्छा जाएगा, but that was the irony in my thing for me was the most easiest ones.
So this is actually a very normal phenomenon among students. They tend to find GK very difficult because you have current GK, you have static GK, and we did a session a while ago with our GK faculty, Mr. Manish Mittal. He walked the students about how do you prepare for current GK and static GK, and I feel HitBullsEye has made it very easy for everyone because we have a podcast on GK called Bulldoze. We also have our own magazine called Bulldoze, wherein the current affairs, weekly current affairs are updated. So you get all of the content in a single platform. And with Spotify, I feel things become very easy. You can multitask while listening to something. You're doing something, you're traveling, and you can listen to and get yourself updated with the GK portion. So what was your strategy? How did you prepare for the GK part, the current affairs part?
Okay, so starting with the GK portion, newspaper is must, I would say. Be it the Hindu, be it the Indian Express, or be it any other newspaper. If you are a newcomer to what newspaper is all about, what is all in newspaper, you can start with the Tribune. But I would say that is a very easy newspaper. You will not find much vocab in it because the motive of reading newspaper is not only journal knowledge. I think the motive of reading newspaper is it increases your vocabulary too. So the Tribune is a very easy newspaper, I would say. So you can start with the Hindustan Times or the Indian Express. The Indian Express is too good. And honestly, I was reading the Hindu. I started from the Hindu itself when I was preparing. So newspaper was a must. Adding on to it further, filtering out the news, what you have to read in newspaper, that is very important, because you don't have enough time. You are going to school, you are going to tuitions, coaching centers and everything. You have to do the household things too. You have so much to do. I mean, so you can't read the whole newspaper in just 1 or 1.5 hours. You have to filter out the news, what you have to read basically. So filtering out news in a newspaper is very important. So, like outlining what are the significant sections you have to read, like what is important for your paper. You can look into the previous year's paper, what type of a pattern they are following, what news is following, what news is trending in the news past papers, and also the newspapers these days, the current times. So newspaper was one source, I would say. The second source for me obviously was a HitBullsEye classes. I didn't miss any of the class, especially the GK ones. Like I found the GK classes as most interesting ones. All credit to Manish sir, because I literally enjoyed, because the sections were the sessions were very interactive with sir. He used to ask us a lot of questions, and we were like, it was a race. We had to enjoy it. We have to win it. So yes, we have to answer the questions. That was the strategy of the session.
He's a fabulous teacher. Like I had a chance of attending one of his sessions. Like he's amazing. The way that he makes GK so easy and interesting at the same time. So the other day when I was having an interview, when I was conducting an interview with him, so even though I'm not preparing for any competitive exam, the way that he was explaining, I could make out कि हाँ ये class में भी ऐसे ही पढ़ाते होंगे. It's very difficult to make GK. It can be very boring to be interesting for students, right? So it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. So shout out to Mr. Manish sir.
Like I was so novice to GK when I started preparing, because I enrolled in a 2-year course. So I started preparing in back in April 2020. I was so novice to what GK is all about, because we as students don't focus much on the journal knowledge till class 10th. We'll focus on GK boards देने हैं. We have to score a good percent in boards. Parents को भी ऐसे ही होता है कि ठीक है यार, child should have a good decent percentile in class and board exams. So we don't focus much on GK up to class 10th. So GK was very new for me. I started with Nitika ma'am first, and then subsequently, eventually, Manish sir took the classes. So I enjoyed the classes. The second source obviously was the classes and the magazine and everything. The HitBullsEye magazine started a little late for us, because I think it started in December or something. It had the GK.
We always had YouTube lives for Gurus, which were taken. We still have, which are taken by Nitika ma'am and by Manisha. So yeah, we've started publishing it because the demand was really extreme. But it's like really good. You can always watch the live if you're not. Then now we have started the podcast also, as I told you. And also another thing that I would want to add, since I've mentioned newspaper reading, it has a double advantage, because that you have a section on legal reasoning, and of course you have English. So reading any which way, even if you're reading newspaper for the GK purpose, you automatically are inculcating a reading habit which helps you in the VARC section, that is English section also, as well as for the legal reasoning. So it gives you a way of answering questions that way, right? So we have a question by Sia. She's saying, what according to you should we focus more upon while reading newspapers, as in what sections mostly? So yeah, so would you want to answer, Parisha?
Yes, ma'am. So filtering out news in the newspaper is important, as I already said. So what pages or what sections can you focus upon? Firstly, the front page, that is very important, because that's the basic outline of what today's news is all about. You can't just miss out on the front page. And then you have the editorials. Editorials are first. I think if you are missing out on the front page, that's a little okay for me. But if you're missing out on the editorials, that's something like you're missing out on life. I was there, and missing out on the editorials is like missing out on life. So that is editorials are the second most important, I would say. And then we have international news and the world news wala page. And then there is sports. Like we can miss out on sports if there's nothing as important, because there's not much focus on sports in the law exams basically. Like obviously it can have something like our GK was absurd, I would say. So it can have some questions on that also, but we can miss out on GK if we can miss out on sports wala section. If we are like, we are following up on sports on social media, so we can leave out that page. But then we have business, that's important. And then we have 2-3 pages before the, I'm talking about the Hindu newspaper because I had followed the Hindu. So I would be talking about the outline of the Hindu newspaper. So front page, the editorials, the business page, the international page, and the page before, after editorials, 2-3 pages after editorials. We can miss out on the other pages. That's the basic outline of the Hindu. Basically, we can't miss out on editorials and the front page and the international page.
Right. So Parisha, you're one of those very few people, not very few, but you're one of those people who have appeared for both CLAT as well as ALET. For the people who don't know, ALET is an entrance test for NLU Delhi. It conducts its own separate entrance test by the name ALET. So what, according to you, was the major difference as well as similarity between the ALET and CLAT exam? Apart from, of course, the syllabus, apart from that, what else did you think was similar?
All right. So talking about CLAT, the similarities between CLAT and ALET, obviously both are the law entrance exams. So both really focus on the legal aspects more.
Right.
And the difference basically is the pattern of the exam.
Right.
The pattern of the ALET exam, the pattern of the CLAT exam changed back in 2020, whereas the pattern of the ALET exam changed this year itself. Like give the ALET exam in a new pattern.
Right.
So basically the CLAT exam has 5 sections, as I had already mentioned, and the ALET exam has 3 sections basically in a new pattern. We have quants, we have reasoning, like we have verbal, we have reasoning. We don't have quants as such. It can come in reasoning, and the legal section, we don't really have the legal section as such. It can also come in reasoning, whereas like the ALET paper covers everything, but the basic outline, the basic sections now are the verbal section, the reasoning section, and the GK section. So basically the difference between ALET and CLAT is obviously the pattern, and the second thing is the difficulty level. I think for me, the ALET was more difficult than CLAT. It can also be because of the pattern, the changing of pattern, because it changed in that particular year and before the exam, like just 2-3 months before the exam. So we were not really prepared to what is really coming in the exam. So I think personally, I found ALET more difficult than CLAT. So basically, the similarities are they both focus on generally the same sections. But the CLAT pattern, the CLAT is really easier than ALET, I would say. And the major pattern, the sections, outlines of the sections are different in both the exams.
Okay. So that's really good. I am glad that you have that much of clarity and able to help people who are planning to appear for both of these exams in December this year, for 23, of course. So another question that I have, and that I think a lot of people would have, is Parisha, you were preparing for CUET, you were preparing for ALET, you were preparing for CLAT, and of course you had your board exams also quite aligned at the same time. So what was your strategy? How did you manage your time, devoting them into all of these different parts of how did you manage that?
Okay, I may sound a little cliche here because obviously the other sections of Big Bulls Ki Pathshala also talks about the same. So basically the strategy of every person is almost the same, but I would say making a timetable is must, because when you have multiple exams you have to give, you have to appear for your boards too, and you have to stand on the expectations of the society, the parents, and your expectations also. So I think making timetable is must, because you have to outline basically your time. How as to are you going to appear in other exams, what are you going to prioritize basically. So I would say giving time to every section is important. Not like this you are giving time to GK every 30 minutes and not doing verbal or legal as such. You're leaving the sections. So that's not the thing. You have to prioritize your sections and you have to prioritize your time accordingly. That's the one thing. And the second thing is if I talk about CUET basically follows the syllabus of NCERT. So going through the NCERT is very thoroughly is very important for boards exam as well and CUET exam as well. So doing NCERTs in a very thorough manner will lead you to appearing for CUET as well in a very decent score. Like you will have a very decent score in CUET as well and in boards as well. So I think reading NCERTs and not missing out on sections of CLAT and ALET, because that is basically the similar. They have similar sections. So I think you can prioritize your time in this way. You can make your timetable accordingly.
Right. Okay. That's pretty logical. I mean, that's how it should be with more. And I quite honestly feel, yes, you said that strategy for pretty much everybody has to be same. But then I feel strategy is something that is customized, that needs to be customized as per the requirement of people. Because there are certain students who have a lot of things aligned apart from just boards, or like they have tuitions going on. There's some certain co-curricular activities going on. So the basically the time 24 hours is similar for everyone. It's just how you utilize it, how do you prioritize. And I think it comes specifically the strategy basic strategy comes from knowing about your strengths and weaknesses, right? Knowing that, okay, I am good in this particular section, so this requires less amount of my time, and I'm a little weaker at this particular section. So yes, open-mindedness is very important to accept that, mujh mein ye kami hai, these are the portions that I need to work on, and these are portions that I'm good at. So having that awareness is very, very important. And I feel that awareness comes from giving mocks from a very early stage of your preparation. Like when we have our sessions at the students at HitBullsEye, we do tell them from day one that you've started your preparation, make sure that you give one mock on the day that you've started your preparation. Or the students are like, ma'am, we don't know anything because the first day, but then majority of the content, or even like 50% of the content that you are studying for the exam, you've already studied somewhere, maybe in your 10th standard or in 11th standard or in your 12th standard. So it helps you identify what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So what is your take on mocks, Parisha? How much of an importance do you give to mocks, or did you give to your mocks when you were preparing for these exams?
All right. So I think doing syllabus is not as important as giving mocks, because giving mocks plays a very vital role in your preparation. While I was doing, when I was preparing for the exams, I gave multiple mocks of different exams I was preparing for, and I was to appear for. So I started giving mocks at a very early stage of my preparation. I gave 30 mocks for CLAT and around 20 to 25 mocks for ALET. And full mocks, I gave multiple sectional mocks. Sectional mocks are like different from the full mocks, because full mocks gives you a basic outline as to what entirely the exam is, whereas the sectional mocks tell you about what a particular section talks about, or what it is all about. So I think giving full mocks is more important than sectional mocks, but jumping onto full mocks prior to giving sectional mocks is a mistake. Because obviously you have to prioritize the sections. As you have already mentioned, we have to identify our strengths and weaknesses. So the particular section that is our weakness, we can work on it. We can give sectional mocks of that particular section and make it our strength. So our weaknesses can be converted to strengths. It's not that difficult. So I would say giving full mocks is important too. And we have to prioritize our time accordingly. We are preparing for the sections, we are giving mocks too, and on the everyday basis. Not like that we have the weekend classes, so we have to give mocks on Saturdays and Sundays only. We have to give mocks from the very first day itself. We can give sectional mocks. We can give GKK quizzes. We have like multiple quizzes. We have multiple quizzes available on various websites, on HitBullsEye as well. Then we have various sectional mocks. Then we have full mocks, and then we have previous year papers. Adding on to the aspects of mocks, I would say practicing what previous years are all about. So previous year papers plays a very significant role in your preparation, because you get a basic idea of what is the characteristic of a paper, what is going to come in the exam. Like you get a basic outline of the exam. So I think giving sectional mocks, quizzes, full mocks, and then the practicing previous years is very important.
Yeah, so, and it's just one thing that I mean, of course, both sectional mocks as well as overall the proper mock, both of them are equally important, and equal important role is played by mock analysis. It is one thing to give mocks, it is entirely different thing to analyze your mocks. So like Parisha already mentioned, giving mocks is a lot of advantage. First of all, you get to know a little bit of self-awareness about the strengths and weaknesses. Second, of course, you get a little bit more clarity about the syllabus, about the exam pattern. It gives you a prerequisite kind of experience of preparing for an exam, because most of the mocks that you would give are online, your exam. So it gives you a feeling of that, okay, this is how the exam is supposed to happen, this is how it is going to happen. So it is a good idea to, and I have seen a lot of students, what they do is they tend to run away from mocks because they're not ready to face the reality. They're not ready to see कि हाँ कहाँ से, इसलिए start doing it from the very first day of your preparation. Start with section mocks and then move ahead and shift it to the proper full length mocks. Also, another very important thing, don't give a lot of emphasis on time management in the earlier on parts of your mocks. Like it might take you 15-20 minutes on one particular quant question, but that's absolutely all right because you are starting. You have just started. So start prioritizing time management part of mocks, let's say 2 to 3 months before the exam. That time you can focus on the time management part. That, okay, I have to complete this particular section within this stipulated amount of time. Apart from that, before that, उससे पहले जब आप शुरू कर रहे हैं देना, focus on the accuracy. Focus on seeing कि ठीक है, अगर मैंने एक particular question पे I've spent 15 minutes, but after having spent 15 minutes, जो मेरा answer है, it's absolutely right. That means that particular area is your strength. So you can focus on it. Time management can be taken care of, let's say, after let's say 2-3 months of you appearing for the mocks. So yes, mocks are very, very important. Don't run away from them. And the test series that we have at HitBullsEye, it is like an overall analysis. It is based on the previous question papers, the patterns that has been followed. So you can always go ahead and start practicing from there and analyze your mocks. Sit and devote time to analyze each and every question as to how much time did you take in that particular question, what was the result, and how close were you to the correct answer, how far away were you from this. So spend time, invest time in doing that. Keep your weekends for the mocks only. Focus on mock analysis. That's extremely, extremely important. So we have a couple of questions. Just one sec. We have, okay. So Nalin is saying, what is the appropriate time to start mocks in 11th and 12th after completing syllabus? So would you like to take that question, Parisha?
Yes, I would like to take that. So there's no appropriate time as such as to what is the appropriate time to start with mocks in your 11th and 12th. As you have started preparing for the exams, you can give the mock on the first day itself, because that helps you to identify what is the section you have already an idea about and what is the section you are very new about. Because when I gave mocks, I got to know that I am a novice for GK. GK is very new for me. So that's something you get to know when you start giving mocks on the very first day itself. Okay, you are not giving the mocks on the very first day itself, but I would say on the just stage of your preparation. So that's very important. So there's no appropriate time as such, I would say, as to when we have to give the mocks. Because as in when we get the time, we are doing our syllabus by side. We can give mock side by side. So that helps us to identify our strengths, our weaknesses, and what we have to work about and what we have to go about. So I think there's no appropriate time as such.
Right. So that's what I said. It does not necessarily have to be कि हाँ मैंने अब syllabus खत्म करा है तो आज से mocks देना शुरू करूँ. You should start giving it the day that you've decided to I'm preparing for this XYZ exam. And it's irrespective of what exam you're preparing. It is irrespective of whether you're preparing for law or you're preparing for management, whether you're preparing it for at the UG level or at the PG level. Mocks play an extremely important role irrespective of what the exam is, because it has the same purpose. Irrespective of what the exam is, mocks have the same purpose. It helps you analyze your strengths and weaknesses, like we mentioned earlier. So make sure that you are devoting extra time, if that is required, towards your preparation. And I feel another very important aspect which helps you in your strategy is consistency. Don't you think, Parisha, like being consistent in your preparation? Not taking breaks in between. And of course, there are going to be days when you feel a little demotivated. You feel, okay, things are not going according to me. I'm not able to see any improvement, because when you are preparing for a competitive exam, your progress is very slow. If you will be able to see a difference, let's say an improvement in your mocks 2 to 3 weeks after you're continuously giving mocks. So that can act as as a source of demotivation for students. I'm pretty sure, Parisha, it must have happened with you also. So how did you keep yourself motivated while you were preparing for these exams?
All right. So there are stages, obviously, when we feel low, when we feel demotivated, and when we feel like, no, it's not going to happen. I'm going to sit here only and I'm not going to get admission anywhere. And that is pretty normal, I guess, because that happens with everyone. But making your mind strong is something you have to do. Like, it's essential for the preparation, because when you have make the mind, you will do the things, because eventually you are going to do it. So you are going to do it anyway. So why not do it in a way you feel motivated? Like you are eventually you are going to do it anyway. So I guess making your mind strong is something that makes you ahead of other aspirants. Because when you have made your mind, I think the 50% work is done. Because that's something that's something which is very important and which is very vital in preparation, making your mind strong, feeling motivated. So there were days I felt demotivated, there were days I felt low too. I talked to my parents, I talked to peers, friends, I watched videos which were motivational to me. I thought of my dream, yes, I have to go into an NLU. So that's something that keeps me going, and that was my area.
Yeah, so basically different people can have different sources of motivation. Like for some people, and it all comes from the reason why you have chosen to pursue a particular entrance test or go ahead and prepare a particular entrance test. The reason behind it actually acts as a motivation for you. Like for example, certain people go ahead and do MBA because they want a career hike, they want to build their profile better. So that can act. And some people do it, let's say, for the purpose of earning more money, to get a better package, to be associated with good companies, have a good lifestyle, give good life to their parents, perhaps. Or at times it is actually a family that pushes you, that you should do this, these are the options. Because a lot of people are not very aware about a couple of things, right? Now I feel because of the whole digitalized world and everything, people do have a lot of knowledge. You have YouTube, you can go ahead, you get counselings. Like at HitBullsEye, we give free video counselings to students. So now presently I feel students still are aware, but it is very important that you do stay motivated, be aware about what things are happening around. Okay, Parisha, now we are going to talk about a very important exam that you managed to get 100 percentile in, that is CUET, which was a new exam introduced this year itself for the admissions into the Central University and especially Delhi University for the various UG courses, right? And different campuses, of course. So, how was your experience, Bacha? Because it was, like I said, the exam took place for the very first time. So, how was your experience of appearing for the CUET exam?
All right. So my experience for the, I would say, appearing for the CUET exam was pretty good. My center, I had exams in 2 slots. My first slot was on 15th of July and my second slot was on 8th of August. So I think there was enough time to prepare for every slot, because we had our ALET exam on 26th of June, and then we had I was having my first exam, CUET exam, on 15th of July. So I had enough time to prepare for it. And the second slot was on 8th of August. So eventually I got time to prepare for it too. So that's the thing I would say. And appearing for CUET for the very first time was a comforting experience. It was pretty nice for me. And because the thing is, it was happening for the first time. Obviously, you have your own nervousness. You have your own questions back in the mind that how is the exam? How is the exam going to look like? How are you going to attempt it? Are you even going to attempt it, or are you going to leave some questions behind? So that's going back in the mind.
Right.
But I think it's all about the first and the Edo. What is the exam about? The exam is pretty easy, and like if you are going through your NCRTs well and you are preparing side by side for every exam, you are not going to puzzle in the actual exam. So my experience of CUET was pretty nice, I would say.
Okay. So before we go ahead and pick her mind more about CUET, guys, please like the stream, share the stream with your friends, subscribe to our channel for the latest updates. We have videos coming up every day. We have lives coming up on different topics. So just don't miss any update. Press on the subscribe button and hit the bell icon, guys. Okay, so talking about CUET, I had a conversation with a couple of students who had appeared for the CUET exam. So there was a lot of uncertainty, like you mentioned, because everything is new. The advantage here, I quite honestly feel, is because most of your syllabus is what you have studied in your 12th class. You get to choose your domains, you get to choose the subjects, you get to choose your combination. So yes, you have that upper hand there, that you are not forced to study something that you don't want to study. at times, I mean, majority of the people who had chosen domains, they were similar to what stream they had in their 12th standard. So what was your combination? What was your course combination for CUET in, if I talk about the second section?
All right. So I had my first slot on 15th of July, and my first combination of subjects on that day were political science, sociology, and I had my verbal or English exam on that day. And the second exam on the 8th of August, which I had, was of economics. So my combination of subjects were political science, sociology, economics, and English. Because I had to choose, I didn't opt for the journal aptitude test because I gave preferences to BA honors and BA programs. Okay. So looking at the combination of subjects you need to qualify for the particular course, you don't need the journal aptitude. So I didn't opt for the journal aptitude section, whereas the other combinations were political science, sociology, English, and economics, as I already mentioned.
Okay, all right. So now talking about, I'm presuming that the first section you had chosen English as a language, right?
Yes.
And did you choose GT, general test? Did you opt for GT?
No, I didn't.
No, you did not.
No.
Okay. Any specific reasons behind that, Parisha?
Ma'am, I didn't opt for journal test, as I already mentioned, was that I was not in the need of opting for the journal test or the journal aptitude test, because I already mentioned that I opt for the BA honors and BA programs combinations.
Right,
so looking out at the outline and the combinations as to what you need to appear for the or you qualify for the BA honors and BA program, you don't need the journal aptitude test. So I didn't go for. I can, obviously, nobody's going to stop me. Obviously, if I have to. Right. But because I already had multiple exams I have to give.
Right, of course.
So I didn't opt for the journal aptitude.
So it basically depends on why you're choosing CUET. Like for some people, CUET is plan A, and then they have other plan B, plan C. So for you, plan A was ALET and CLAT, and plan B was CUET. So that is why you did not prioritize it that much. But students, if you're somebody who is prioritizing CUET, right, for 23, obviously, so make sure that you are choosing GT, because it enhances the combinations that you can apply for while I mean after your result is out, for the entire, if we do have the CSAS process next year. So it will help you in that. So keep your options open, make sure that you are appearing for GT. It obviously depends on your priority, which exam are you prioritizing. But yeah, okay. So how did it feel, Parisha, to score such a decent score in CUET in the very first attempt? And of course, the exam took place, like I said, for the very first time. So how was the experience? How did you feel when the results came out? Could you describe that for us?
Yes. When the results came out, obviously I was in the hostel. So I was not able to share it with my parents. Because, like I slept, I got to know that the results are coming tonight. But obviously I had multiple things to do because now the academic pressure in an LU is like, oh, it is so much. Like I have to do so much. So I had to do so much. I slept early after doing the things. And when I woke up, I had a mail from NTA that your results has come. So I was not having my application number as such. Then I searched out for it in the messages wala box. So I got to know about my application number. I took out my scorecard from there. And I was so excited. Okay, I have scored a 100% high. I'm 100% teller in English. So that was it. And because I was in the hostel, I was not able to see the reactions of my parents in the physical form. Obviously, I called them in the morning itself and I told them about the score, and I sent them, and they were like, "Nahi, hame scorecard bhej," because they were like, "Nahi, hum aise nahi manenge, hame scorecard bhej." So I sent them. So I sent them the scorecard, and they were like, "Okay."
Okay.
Yes, our daughter has scored it. So like that was it.
That's really amazing. That's really good, Parisha. Really, and my next question was going to be this: like, what was your parents' reaction hearing that you qualified for your CLAT exam, ALET exam, as well as for CVT? So you described that for us. That's really good. I'm really happy. Congratulations to your parents. If they're able to, I think they are watching us, because I think they've commented also. So congratulations to them as well. It's really good. Okay, so now that you are sitting at NLU Patiala right now, Parisha, so what is your routine? What is your life at the moment right now? How is it going? I heard that you have your
Yes.
freshers going on in these days. So yeah, could you describe what is life at NLU Patiala?
Okay. So talking about the infrastructure and the building is quite beautiful. Like it is, the campus is so beautiful here. But I think it poses a juxtaposition with the life here. I mean, honestly, the academic pressure is too much here. But obviously, you will eventually enjoy the process because these are the things which are new to us. We have research projects, we have to make our research papers, publications, mooting, and then we have the classes going on, the strict attendance procedure in an NLU, of course. We can't miss out on that. So life in an NLU is good too. And there are obviously the days, as in the preparation days, you obviously feel like, no, it is not going to happen. मैं नहीं करने वाली qualify या मैं नहीं करने वाला qualify. So obviously you have the low days also. So I also have my low days in sitting in an LLU itself. But yes, the life here is pretty good. And obviously, as ma'am has already mentioned, my freshers is going on. DJ party is going on there. So
But I am really happy to look at the dedication. She's left her freshers because she wanted to do this interview. I'm so happy and thank you so much for that, Parisha.
I'm so I wanted to take this session.
Yeah. So you're an inspiration to so many people, especially to people who are enrolled with us at HitBullsEye. I mean, see, everybody wants somebody to look up to, right? Like I said, you have hard days, you have days when you want to give up. So if you have an example in front of you that you see, acha, even she did it, so when I can do it, when I have a chance, we all are human. At this end of the day, we have the same quotient, the same way of doing things. We have the same 24 hours, right? So it is always good, and that is why I keep a point, like the most of the sessions that we have at a HitBullsEye at UG level, we try to bring up people who have gone through the journey, especially the people at HitBullsEye, the people who have studied with us, the test series, taken our online classrooms and everything. So because of course, we do feel proud. It is an immense pleasure for all of us, for and pride, of course, at the same time, to see, because we focus at enhancing and developing the professional careers of our students. Of course, it is a pleasure at our end as well. So, Parisha, if you're supposed to give any suggestions to the people who are enrolled with us at HitBullsEye, and of course other people who are watching this stream, what are those few suggestions, the major do's and the don'ts that you would want to tell them when they are, because you have been in their shoes a while ago. So what would be the suggestions, recommendations, do's and don'ts that you would want to tell them?
All right. So talking about the do's first, I would say don't miss out on classes, because classes are something that is going to give you an insight of what actually the syllabus is all about. So
Right.
don't miss out on your classes. Do regularly attend your classes. The second thing is, I already mentioned, is giving mocks and mock analysis. The third thing is consistency, as already ma'am had already mentioned. And then is you're figuring out what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, because that's very important. When you outline your strengths and weaknesses, when you filter out them, you get to know what you have to focus on and what you have to leave, like what actually how as to you are going to manage the time about all the sections. So these are the major do's. And apart from this, you can obviously I think I have missed out on something very important. One major do is don't left out your hobbies, because hobbies are something, when you are going to feel low or motivated on days, hobbies are something that will make you go about those days. So don't miss out on them. Do like practice them regularly. Of what, if you like dance, if you like singing, if you like painting, do regularly, because obviously you have your days when you will feel demotivated. You need something as a refuge, so that hobbies will act as a refuge then. And the major don't is, I think, don't procrastinate, because procrastinating is something like it's the tendency of the human being. We can't really
Right.
resist it. We obviously do it, if not now, we
Mm-hmm.
do it on the other day. So
Right.
obviously I do procrastinate. We all do procrastinate. But I think that is a major don't I have to mention here.
Right. Right. That's amazing, Parisha. So, Parisha, what do you do to chill? What is your chilling activity? How do you de-stress yourself, or how you used to de-stress yourself when you were preparing? What were your hobbies?
Yes. So my hobbies included listening to music, obviously. Like I got that hobby from my mother, obviously. She's very fond of music. So
Okay.
listening to music is one thing. And I really enjoy dancing. I like stand in front of the mirror sometimes and I dance. Because that's something that's gives me refuge from the stress that I go through. Because every person is going through something in his or her life. We can't really say that only ठीक है सिर्फ मैं ही कर रही हूँ या सिर्फ वो कर रहा है. Every aspirant in the journey is going through this. So you have to outline your things. You have to prioritize the things as how you go about the things. So my refuge obviously was the dancing, listening to music, watching to vlogs and everything. So that was my refuge.
So what is your refuge now? What are your chilling activities now? Now that you are under the immense pressure of NLU Patiala, apparently. So how are you chilling now?
All right. So, as I already mentioned, the campus here is too beautiful, and we have our end timings, obviously, the hostels and timings. We can't miss out. So, I do work on the evenings, and we have our classes till afternoon. So, I generally go to the campus and chill and have a walk there in the night. So, that's a basic refuge I have now under the immense pressure of research projects, mooting, classes, and everything. So that's something I do to have a refuge here, walking in the campus, listening to music, putting on the headphones and not doing but what is the world all about? Putting on the music.
Resigning from world by putting your earphones on. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so are you at the hostel right now, Parisha? Are you at the campus, NLU campus right now?
Yes, ma'am.
So how is the hostel life treating you? I mean, of course, you have come out of your, the entire 12th class, and now you're living independently, if I put it like that, right? So how is the hostel life? How are you enjoying it? I'm asking this question because, when you have the people who are preparing for the exam right now, so if you have a gift at the end of the journey, when you have a sweet or something tempting to do at the end of the journey, you tend to give your 100%. So that is why I would want you to elaborate. How is the hostel life? How are you enjoying? How are the rooms? How is the occupancy? If you could detail that a little bit for us.
All right. So the hostel life here is pretty good, and we are fortunate enough to I am fortunate enough to be in an NLU which have ACs. So I think this is the only NLU which has and it has an advantage. It is a very big advantage for us, I would say. And the hostel life is treating me well as far as of now. I don't know what the future holds in itself. But yes, it is treating me well as of now. And we have double occupancy here. So we have two roommates. We are two roommates till third year, and after third year we'll get a single room.
You'll be officially adults having single occupancy rooms.
Yes.
Okay. So
Like
yeah.
if you are going to feel alone, sometimes you will feel homesickness, but eventually you're going to love your privacy and freedom. So that's
Right.
the thing.
Okay, so what are your future plans now, Parisha? Now that you have set one milestone for you, you are at NLU Patiala, you're pursuing law. What does future hold for you? What are you looking forward to now?
All right. So we can't really say what future holds in itself, but as of my dreams, or I would say as of my aims and aspirations and the goals I have, I want to pursue LLM from UK if I can. Obviously, I want to pursue it. I want to give UPSC. I want to appear for UPSC then, and I want to be a civil servant and serve my country. What's better than serving your country?
I am pretty sure you will be able to do that looking at your past record. I am pretty sure you're going to make all of us really, really proud, Parisha. Any parting words, Pache? Anything that we are almost towards the end of the session, anything that you would want to say towards the end of the session? And yes, one more important thing before we say goodbyes, I would want to know how supportive was your family throughout this journey? Because I quite honestly feel at times we tend to underestimate or not pay equal heed to the support that we get from our families. I mean, you can't actually do anything until unless you have a solid, rock solid support from your family, from your parents. So how effective was that in your journey, in your preparation?
All right. The support from a family is like very, very important. Important, I would say important is a very small word for it, because
Right,
obviously you are eventually going to have your days when you want someone to be there, when you want someone to have a shoulder there. You have to rely on, you have to cry on. So you are going to eventually feel like ठीक है मेरे पास किसी का support होना चाहिए, and that support
right,
comes from your parents.
right,
So I guess support of the parents and the family is very, very important, because eventually they are going to motivate you, because they are going to tell you, yes, these are your dreams. They are not going to tell you, they are going to remind you what are your dreams, what are your goals. So what are their goals? Because our goals are their goals basically.
right,
So
right,
I
right.
think family support is must. And I am fortunate enough to have a family which supports me like a wall, like a very, very
Right,
strong wall. Like
right,
they are
right.
standing at my back every now and then.
All right, Parisha. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much for taking out time from your freshers and being with us here today. Thank you so much. Any parting words, anything that you would want to conclude the session with?
Yes, ma'am. I'm so grateful to HitBullsEye. My heart is filled with gratitude. When I was in my preparation days, I used to watch these big Bull ki Pathshala sessions of other toppers, and I always aspired कि कभी मैं भी करूँगी ये session.
The
I am
tables
going
have
to do
turned. The tables have turned.
it. Like it's like manifesting something, and that has come true. So that's the
Mhm.
case with me right now. My heart is filled with gratitude, and I can't thank you enough. Can't
Thank
thank
you so much.
HitBullsEye enough for it.
Thank you so much, Parisha. HitBullsEye takes pleasure in students like you who are like prodigies for us. Thank you so much. Continue to make us proud. We will stay in touch and we will have another session wherein we'll have detailed discussion about other aspects of your life, of NLU, and other aspects as well. So thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, rather. Right. And I hope to meet you really soon when you come here to meet us in the campus, right? So thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you guys. If you've not yet liked the session, please like the stream. Subscribe to our channel for the latest videos, latest updates, right? And we will see you soon next week with another BBKP session where we have another interesting and inspirational guest with us. And till then, thank you